Hello and welcome to today's episode of Thrive After 45. I'm Denise Drinkwalter, heart whisperer, midlife mirror, and mentor. And every week I am so honored to share energy and space with inspiring guests whose stories reflect so many possibilities of thriving beyond 45. Together, we'll uncover the whispers of the heart, the power of midlife transformation, and the wisdom that fuels expansion. Because when one woman turns her light on, the rest of the room catches fire. Have you ever achieved something you've worked so hard for and then stood there wondering why it didn't still feel like it was enough? Our guest today has spent more than 40 years walking alongside people in exactly that place. He is a #1 best-selling author, international speaker, and multi-award winning coach. And what makes him different isn't his credentials, it's his gift. The ability to sit across from someone, see straight through the thing that's actually holding them back and help them move. I mean, really move, often faster than they thought was possible. He has touched thousands of lives across 5 continents, women rebuilding, leaders rediscovering themselves, people who came in stuck and left lit right up. It is an honor and a privilege to welcome life coach and leadership strategist Dave Williams to our show today. So great to have you.
Bless you. Thank you very much indeed, Denise. It's lovely to be here. And wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much. I'll copy that if you don't mind, because that's the best introduction I've ever had.
I there's something I don't know what it is, but it is not unusual for all of my guests to say the same. Can I have a copy of that? I'm not sure who you were speaking of there.
Well,
How? Yeah.
it's one of those things, though, isn't it? It's sometimes we do things from the heart,
Mm,
where we're trying to help people. And
yeah.
and sometimes it needs someone else to look at exactly what we've done and then condense it. And as you've done now, fantastically. And the check's in the post, by the way. And yeah, for us to have the realization of how much of an impact we do really have.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Because for so many of us, we just do what's right or what we feel is right at that particular time. But the snowball effect or the ripple effect that we create, quite often is phenomenal, as long as we're doing it for the right reasons.
well, let's dig into that. I love that. What is the right reason? You mentioned at the beginning, when you're doing work because you have the heart that's sitting behind all of it that you're doing. How do we ensure that we stay within our alignment and not move from what we know to be true, that intuition, and do it because this person asked and that person asked? A lot of the women in our audience, me as well, and I'm learning how to not stop doing things for others, but making sure that it's really something that is good for you as well, which is really hard to do.
Yeah, it can be. And it's one of those things that so many people are actually living in their head.
Mm.
And they try and do things logically all the time because it makes sense.
Hmm.
But the reality is, we're human beings, so everything that we do is based on emotion, but we qualify it with logic.
Mm.
And when we come, from the attitude from ourselves that
Yeah.
we are giving, and when I say that, you're exactly right. We need to look after ourselves as well. So it's not becoming a martyr.
Thank
That's
you.
different because
Yes.
I've been there. Yeah,
Yep.
and many people have that we just give so much that we run out of energy ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's giving, and one of the things that I will say is, it is listening to others.
Mm.
what they say and how they say it and what their body is saying as well. So we listen with our eyes as well as our ears.
Mm-hmm.
That may well sound a bit weird, I know. For the simple reason when people are talking, they are giving us so many clues about what is really going on.
Yeah.
And when they do that, that's why I say we listen with our eyes as well. There's so much said about authenticity. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine not so long ago. And she said, I hate that term because everyone should be authentic. And I agree 100%. The drawback is most people aren't.
Right.
Most people are portraying an image that they feel that other people want to see,
Right.
and they've lost that authenticity. And because of that, when they're talking, when they're inquiring about people, which is a different story, then they're not being congruent with what they say,
Right.
meaning their body is not matching what's coming out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
See, when we do things from the heart because we believe it's right, whether it's just helping someone, whether it's asking possibly a challenging question,
Right.
then we do it from the right place.
Mm-hmm.
We're not looking to say something, ask something, or interject that's just going to be beneficial for us. See, for
Right.
me, that's not what leadership is about.
Right.
Leadership is about being the best that we can be as individuals so we can influence everyone else in a better way.
Right.
And when we do that, we are being congruent because we care about other people.
Right.
And when we care, that shows and the interest that we generate with that. And I don't mean interest with ourselves, but the interest of what we share, the interest of what we ask, and just spending quality time with people. The
Mm-hmm.
ripple effect is
Mm-hmm.
massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example of that if I may. I was
Yes,
working with a
please.
personal client a few years ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd actually gone through the challenges that she had, and she'd done
Mm-hmm.
fantastically, even if
Mm-hmm.
I do say so myself. Um, but we were just sitting there, we were just reviewing things about where she was and where she is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm really proud of you, you know. I'm really proud of the person you've become, the real you. And she burst into tears.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, I know what I meant to say. Did that come out of my mouth or did I say something totally different? And she was in her early 50s and she said, you're the first person in my life that's ever said that you're proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that before. And I was gutted. And I must admit,
Yeah.
I'm a real softie, I can cry at TV adverts.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
But I was there and tears were streaming down my
Yeah.
face. And I thought, considering the challenges this lovely lady has been through, to have to wait until, in effect, a stranger, as in someone that had only just come into her life very briefly
Mm-hmm.
and for a short space of time, says that, but it had such an impact
Mm-hmm.
because people are going along in their lives and doing what they're doing, etc. But sometimes we just need to stop,
Yeah.
take a breath,
Yeah.
and just think about someone and just let them know how much we care.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a firm believer, as a generalization when I say this, as far as society is concerned,
Mm-hmm.
there aren't many people that show they care
Right.
or as much as they should. We just take it for granted because we're all trying to, logically, we need to do this, we need to do that. But we're all human beings at the end of the day.
Right.
And human beings, everything that we do, like I say, is based on emotion. So if we mean it, then share it.
Right. Exactly. Um, a lot of things came through as you were speaking. One of the key pieces that I want to ask about is around the leadership. Two things, actually, I'm going to share. I'm going to go back to the proud moment. From what I'm hearing, what comes through for me with this client of yours that went to tears is because even though you knew her for a short period of time, You knew her in ways others didn't because of the way that you connect with people through your heart center. And that's what allowed all of that to surface in a short period of time. It was just through a general conversation and an observation you had that you shared back, right? You did what I do, the mirroring, right? You
Absolutely.
mirror back, right? And
Yeah.
so, with the leadership question, so kudos to you and what you do just naturally to
Bless you.
keep
Thank
that
you.
work going. And the second question I have that stirs around in my mind all the time is leadership, which is what you are an absolute expert in a variety of arenas. What comes back to me is how do we honor and how do we build self leadership? Because I believe that when we lead ourselves through our full alignment and our heart center, we can never go wrong. Yes, we make mistakes, but we're attuned to it. We can course correct. We can apologize as need be, all of those things. Do you ever, where does that sit in the realm of leadership, the self leadership piece from your vantage point?
Well, realistically, I think you've answered the question fantastically. Uh, uh, because any form of see what I've worked with an awful lot of well-known organizations,
Yep,
and yeah, we're junior manager up to boards of directors.
yep,
And one of the things that I see all the time, which
yep,
is going to be the opposite to what you've just shared wonderfully, if you don't mind me saying, is the fact that although they've got the title of leaders,
yeah.
they couldn't lead themselves out of a paper bag
Mm,
because they are not leaders in the true sense. They are by title,
right?
but a title doesn't make you a leader.
Mm,
Because so much of what they are saying, what they are doing, how they are talking to people is coming from ego.
hmm.
And it's a self-preservation from them.
Right.
And that is not leadership
Hmm.
because we're thinking of ourselves here. We're
Hmm.
not thinking of others.
Right.
And
Right.
for me, leadership, exactly as you say, starts from within. You know, we as individuals are the hardest people to lead,
Yeah.
but we need to get our core right. Because
Yes.
when we do that, when we are talking to people, when we are giving instructions, asking people to do things, we're not second guessing because it's our core.
Right.
And we know that we're asking or we're doing or we're leading by example for what we believe to be the right reasons.
Right.
And
Yeah.
again, exactly as you say, are we going to make mistakes? Of course we are. We're human. Yeah, providing we learn from them.
Yeah.
Because if not, that's the definition of insanity, isn't it?
Right.
And I've been there before now as well.
Some days it's a short trip, right?
Absolutely.
Ah,
And
dear.
yeah, I often get asked that the fact
Mm-hmm.
that for you to lead yourself,
Mm-hmm.
is it motivation or is it discipline? And the first time I got asked that question, I thought, well, great question. And for me, it's motivation for us to be better today than what we were yesterday. And we do that initially by discipline, but discipline never lasts.
Mm,
Look, we're human beings, and human beings, 99.9%
right.
of the time, go for the easy option.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know that we should have a chicken salad or whatever it is. Apologies if you're
Right.
vegetarian,
You're right.
but sometimes that chocolate cake just looks too good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you may well have guessed, I've had a few too many slices of chocolate cake. So, but discipline is great to start with because
Hmm.
everyone needs to start with the first step,
Right.
but it never lasts.
Right.
So it's what's our key motivator to keep us going,
Hmm.
to keep us being the best that we can be,
Right.
to believe in our values that
Right.
what's right and what's not right. And
Yeah.
yeah, I got approached by five different organizations last week to do some editorials and that with them.
Yeah.
Now, two of them I dismissed immediately for the simple reason their values were not mine.
There you go.
And I'm not saying that to blow smoke, and I don't mean it that way. It's
No.
just that for me, every day, I know that I can sleep at night because I've been the best that I can be. Or, again, as we've spoken about, if I've made a mistake, I'll get
Yeah.
in touch with the person and say, look, I messed up
Yeah.
there. Sorry, human.
Yeah.
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 Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they just didn't match my values.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a firm believer that, reputations take years to build,
Mm-hmm.
but seconds to destroy.
Yep. Yeah.
And for me, my values are my values.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel that they are being eroded by selling yourself to the devil, so to speak, then it
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't sit with me.
Right.
And that may well sound like counterintuitive for the likes of myself, saying I always want to help and I always want to give and share and everything. However, you've also got to know where the line is drawn.
I was going to say, I think it's empowering because you're very clear on who you are and where your line is. And you know that when you do something that isn't in alignment with your values, your goals, your heart, your being, then it's not going to work out anyway because it's so prickly. It's like that burr that's on your sock and you got to peel it off and there's still little remnants and I don't want this. You don't need to take that, right? So
Yeah,
when
exactly.
when you're clear, I am going to ask another question. Let me know what comes through, but that clarity, is there a finish line to that? Or does it deepen over time as you get more things? Let's go with your opportunities that you just referenced. When you get more opportunities coming through your door, does your depth of values, your alignment to who you are, does that deepen and get stronger, or it's just there? And does it take a while to tease into practice as well?
Yeah, I think for me now it's there.
Okay.
Because I appreciate this is 45 to thrive. I'm
Yeah.
21 with a little bit of interest.
Yep.
It
There you
wasn't
go.
that funny.
That's
Okay, a lot
good.
of interest.
I,
Okay, okay.
I
Um,
like, I'm going to use that line.
I will share then.
Okay.
Uh,
I love it.
and obviously, with being experienced in life,
Sure.
I've got to know myself
Right.
and what I believe to be right and
Yep.
what I believe from the heart, from the gut,
Yeah.
that is right for me.
Yep.
Now, for many years in my life, I'd have just, if that opportunity came, those opportunities, sorry, came across then, I probably would have snapped at all of them.
Right. There you go. Yep. Yep.
But now it's a case of no, it's how can I add value, but in the right way?
Right.
And it took some time, in all honesty, for me to even realize what my values were.
Yes.
It's,
Same.
it wasn't something that, I just opened a box of cereal and there was a sheet of A4 with a list of Dave's values on there or anything along those lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
something that I had to have that realization about
Yep.
who I was as a person.
Hmm.
And I will be brutally honest on this. I shed a lot of tears.
Hmm.
And the reason why I did that is I look back at some of the things that I'd done in my life previously.
Hmm.
And possibly a bit strong, but I'm going to use this particular term. But I look back and thought I was ashamed at how I behaved in certain situations
Hmm.
because what I knew now and what I knew then, retrospect is easy, we know.
Of course.
But I wasn't living or acting at that particular time based on my
Hmm.
values because
Hmm.
I hadn't identified them.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that for
You're
two
welcome.
reasons, for being vulnerable and also for sharing the capacity and the need for us as individuals to spend time, energy, and focus on our values so we know who we are.
Mm,
I ask this question many times of my clients over the time that I've done this work, and we get into values, and I don't know. What are values? It's like,
yeah.
okay, we've got a starting point, right?
Yes.
Living our lives on autopilot, doing what we think, but we aren't really sure is this something that really resonates for me. Well, I've done it all along. I might as well just carry on, right?
Mm,
And so when you get to 45, we get to thrive. And one of the strongest ways is to, as we're speaking about, is to tune into and start really developing and understanding what your value-based system is.
yes.
Is it really aligned with who you are? And it's okay. You get to change,
Yes. Absolutely.
right?
And I think as well that quite often, not necessarily our core values, but a lot of our values will change over time
Right.
because we've had life experiences
Mm-hmm.
and we've got additional life references.
Yes.
And sometimes we will take stock again, as you say, and sometimes with a value that we thought we had, sometimes
Mm,
it's good to throw that in the trash can.
yeah. It served its time, it served its
Yeah,
purpose, or it didn't, and that's okay. Yeah. If it doesn't
absolutely.
align. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that is another avenue, another lane of self-leadership, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because once we know our values, we know because our values are going to impact our beliefs, and our beliefs are going to impact how we behave.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, for argument's sake, public speaking as an example, if our value is I love to serve people, but our belief is we get an opportunity to speak publicly to an audience of however many, that we're going to mess it up. Um, and so many people will then shy away from that and then have the regret that I
Yeah.
didn't take that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I know an awful lot of international speakers and that as well, and a good chunk of them they get really nervous before they go on stage as well, like I do.
Mm-hmm.
So using that analogy, if you're just starting off or you get that opportunity, being nervous is great.
Yeah.
Because instead of what I do now is instead of saying, "Oh look, I'm nervous," I'm excited
Excited. Yeah.
because we've got the opportunity to speak to all these people, and the values are still the same, but it's
Yes.
just changing our beliefs. Because when we do that, we share our values more and more by our actions, what we say, what we do. Because
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't realize is everything that we say and everything that we do, people are watching.
Absolutely.
And quite often when I share this and people go, "What? Really?" And that's the reality. And it's not saying that we're being followed by Big
Of
Brother
course.
camera 24 hours a day. I hope not anyway. Um, but especially if you've got kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and well, realistically, when you work with adults, they're basically kids as well. It's just that they're in bigger bodies because mentality is very much the same.
Yeah.
But with kids, in particular, they're picking these things up, or
Yeah.
possibly grandchildren, whichever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's when sometimes when we look back at that, it can be a case of, oh,
Yeah.
did I do that?
I just heard, I just saw myself. Oh no, that's what I look like.
Yeah,
You can see it. Yeah.
yeah.
You tune into it very quickly. Yes.
So it's and again, the values are so important
Mm-hmm.
because again, as you say, self-leadership. Once we identify who we are,
Right.
we're not just a tax number or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got to have numbers at different times in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just one little element of us.
Right. Right.
And the beauty of it is we've got multiple people inside us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, I don't mean that to sound like everyone's schizophrenic or anything
No.
along those lines. I don't mean it that way. It's just that, at certain times, a different part of us will be the dominant feature in how we speak, how we behave, as an example.
Right.
However, when all of these different personalities that we have are all aligned
Exactly.
with our core values, then it doesn't matter which personality comes out. We know the message is still going to be the same.
Exactly. I love that. That's perfect. Yeah, the foundation is solid
Yeah,
and the house is not, there's still going to be the different rooms. There's the bedroom, the
yeah,
kitchen, the bathroom, that they're all existing, but they're all coming from the same foundation. They all share the same air, as it were,
mm,
right? Yeah, I
absolutely.
love that. Is there one thing that happened in your life that does drive you forward?
Yeah, you could say that somewhat. Yeah, in the industry, it's known as a significant emotional event, and
Okay,
I won't bore you with the full story. Um, and let's just say it's my world turned totally upside down.
okay.
Because in 2015, 10th of December in 2015, all of a sudden my partner passed away with a heart attack at the age of 50.
Mm.
And
Aw,
I pretty much lost everything,
right?
including my marbles, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, it was totally unexpected. And obviously, what she didn't know is 2 days before that, I was online looking for rings to propose to her at Christmas. And yeah, let's just say it was an interesting Christmas.
hmm,
And it took me a while. And again, potentially going back to values, but it's also a case where, for any of your audience that are going through, yeah, a significant emotional event,
right.
then it's okay to take some time
Mm,
because we need to process it. And yeah, we've actually got, depending on which one you read, the 5 or 7 stages of grief and all of that.
sure.
It doesn't mean to say you follow them in that order or
No.
anything along those lines. You can go from this one to this one. Um, so it's
Hmm.
like everything, it's just a guide. And
Right.
I think I went through, most of those things. And for the first 2 or 3 months, I was looking after Helen's family as best I could, being there as a support, but
Yeah.
also looking after my family in that as well.
Right.
There was some distance away from each other, so I was like piggy in the middle.
Yeah.
But it was 2016 that I went back home and I'd sort of let the families start to take control of themselves again.
Hmm.
Um, I don't mean that in a indulgent power way
Right.
or
Of
anything along those
course.
lines. But it was also a case of, right, we all need to, while still be together, but also start to
Yes.
move forward.
Right.
And yeah, I really hit rock bottom in 2016, and so much so that I even contemplated ending my own suffering.
Hmm.
Something I'm not proud of, but it was the bolts that I needed. I knew I had
Hmm.
to make a decision to either continue as I was, and I wouldn't be around much longer, or to realize that I can use this to help myself, but
Yes.
then wasn't necessarily thinking this as much at the time because I was just desperate, but to
Right.
help others.
Yeah.
And so I just made the decision to change. And, when anyone's going through any particular challenges in life, the first thing is to make a decision.
Hmm.
Because so many people, and this is what I'd been doing, I hasten to add,
Hmm.
I'd been deflecting what I needed to
Hmm.
do by focusing on the respective families.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I hadn't been looking after myself.
Hmm.
I'd been reliant on them. So they'd become a crutch to me as much as I'd become a crutch to them.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And it was only at that time that, like I say, I made that decision that things needed to change.
Hmm.
And that's what I did. And it was, yeah, it was really slow process. It
Yeah.
was one step forward, five back. And yeah, I became a bed slug at
Yeah.
times, and I was just
Yeah.
wrapped up in my quilt.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but it was also a case of the worst situation that I'd ever been
Yeah.
in one way became the best situation that I'd ever been in from a personal perspective.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that is I needed to discover myself and know that I was rock bottom.
Hmm.
And anything that I did from then moving forward was literally one step at a time.
Yeah.
And that's when I really discovered myself.
Hmm.
And with work that I then did with different people, and
Hmm.
I thought I had, if I say got over the situation, I don't mean that in a flippant way.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd learned to manage the situation, shall we say.
Hmm.
And then I had a coach come and see me. It was only meant to be coming in for a cup of coffee. 4 hours
Okay.
later, he left. It was a long cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But he asked me this question, and obviously it's resonated with me since. And he said, what was the good to come out of that situation?
Mm,
And I must admit, I was devastated at the time.
I'm sure.
Typical guy thing, it's going, how dare you?
Yeah.
I'll take you outside and and have a
Yeah.
go. And it was the ideal question. And I was in bed for 2 days afterwards because emotionally I'd gone.
Sure. Yeah.
But it helped me to
Yeah.
have that realization. So instead of putting a suit of armor on, saying, yes, it's all good and all of that,
Right.
this was the catalyst for me, then coming out of that being congruent with what I said and did.
Mm, hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I still had some days where I
Of
flopped,
course.
but life's a
Absolutely.
journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah, realistically, it was that conversation that was the
Mm,
catalyst for everything I've done in the meantime.
hmm.
And the way I view it is the fact that, yeah, Helen, called her Hell, and I had plans.
Hmm.
So many of those plans I'm still doing. So we're still doing it collectively.
Nice.
Because if someone passes away, if we lose someone, and their time on this planet was destined to be at an end,
Hmm.
my philosophy was, but they're always with me, whether I want them to or not. I can always think of them in my heart. I can always
Yeah.
picture them.
Yeah.
I can always do that when I want. So
Hmm.
they're always with me.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just a different chapter.
Hmm.
Just that sounded flippant. I didn't mean it like that. It is a different chapter.
Right.
But for everything I do, we're still doing it together
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's never going to change
Hmm.
because you're such an integral part of my life.
Like you say, she's part of you.
Yeah,
She always will be. And that was the way it has always meant to be,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So
Through,
it's no
yeah,
nothing in my mind. Nothing ever ends unless you
yeah,
want it to.
yeah. Decisions again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And isn't that the incredible piece is that we are actually in charge of the wheel of our lives.
absolutely.
And when we really understand that metaphor inside and out, everything gets to change because we choose to make that so, right?
Yes.
And thank you for sharing that story. I love that she is always with you. She's been a part of you and always will be, no matter what. And I have such a desire to share this show so widely so that others when they hit those big emotional roller coasters that swallow them whole, or maybe they can avoid it by having listened to conversations like these to start to put things into place so they can move through life with more ease. I'm going to say, I don't know if that's the right term, but with less huge, big balls coming down on top of them. We can't always avoid them, as you know, as we all know, but maybe we'll have a better under footing underneath us
Yeah,
to be able to handle what can come our way. We don't need to experience all of that in order to move our needle, I guess, is the end result of what I'm sharing. Yeah.
absolutely.
What a wonderful conversation. I knew it would be. Is there anything that you would love to share with our audience as we begin to close this conversation? It doesn't mean we won't come back for another one, but is there anything here that you'd love to share that the audience you think is really important that they take away with all the other things you've shared? Yeah.
Thank you. All I'll say is, this is something I thought of about 6 years ago now. I've been doing a presentation in front of a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
and it just came from the heart, like so much of what I say
Mm.
and do does. So I just came out and thought, I like that. But it was a case of always be 100% of yourself all of the time
Mm.
because you just don't know who you're going to influence.
Love that. Love that.
And that can be a smile, it can be a wave, it can be a hug, it can just be, how are you?
Hmm. And how are you with a pause to listen to the response?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is where the listening, and going back to the
Yeah,
beginning, the
of course.
listening, because so many people are geared up to say, I'm
Yeah.
fine. Yes. And they're not being congruent. And I find it ridiculous these days when there's all this about mental health and everything, and I'm assuming
Yep.
over in Canada and that
Absolutely.
it's very similar,
Yeah.
that so many people don't ask how someone else is.
Hmm.
They just make an assumption. And even on emails, if you haven't communicated for a while.
Yeah.
So, again, going back to the listening with your eyes and your ears,
Yeah.
look for the response and how they respond.
Hmm.
Because quite often I'll say, "Hi, how are you?" And I'll get the bog standard answer.
Yeah.
I'm fine,
Yeah.
freaked out, insecure,
Yeah.
neurotic and
Neurotic.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I can see that what they are saying and their body are out of sync, I'll follow. I normally follow up and say, "Oh, that's fantastic. So pleased to hear that. How are you really?"
Really. Yeah.
Soften the tone, and
Hmm.
people aren't expecting that. And it's
Hmm.
amazing how many people are just taken aback by that. And I'm not doing it out of spite.
Right.
I'm
No,
doing
no,
it because
no.
I can see something's not quite right.
Hmm.
And quite often they'll just explode or verbally vomit on you, shall we say.
Yeah.
And because there are so many people that are going through challenges, quite often at home, where not necessarily talking to the partner or whatever,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they just need someone's ear for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can do that, then quite often, if you, again, as you said a bit earlier on, if you listen,
Hmm.
don't judge, but
Yeah.
just listen,
Yeah.
let them air what they want to air. And more often than not, let's say it's 5 minute conversation, you will see their physiology, as in their body language, change massively. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, they're leaving, let's say it was in an office, they're leaving the office standing a bit more upright, shoulders back,
Hmm.
head up. And it's as if they found an air of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you're saying. A piece that I want to add on to that, and particularly, and I know it's not solely, but particularly for women, and I will add An addition to that would be mums as well, that there's this, I don't even know, energy where they feel like once they hear it, they have to respond, have to help them fix it. No, just listen, let the other person share. And some people are, how do I get out of that without trying to fix it? Because I feel for them and I've done that and da la la la, right? It gets into a whole thing. Just letting them share and then say, thank you so much for sharing and just let
Absolutely.
it sit, right?
Mm.
Is that okay?
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. 90, around about 95% of my personal clients are ladies. I don't know why. Obviously, it's my stellar good looks. If only. And you are right. And what I tend to find is a generalization when I say this.
Yeah, yeah,
Ladies tend to hang on to the emotions a hell of a lot more than what
yes,
guys do. But
yep.
for longer. And then, ladies are wonderful creatures. And I didn't mean that disrespectful, calling ladies
Yeah,
creatures, but yeah, wonderful human beings
yeah.
because it's yeah, I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll just share one little thing with you now. I love being a mixed audience, especially boards of directors, because I
Mm-hmm.
find it wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do. Oh, this is going live. Yeah, well, it's going to be going out, so yeah, I'll
It's all
share it.
good.
I do play one against the other in many
Yeah,
ways, in a
yeah,
fun way.
yeah.
Because I quite often say, yes, and I normally get one, the ladies get them to slump and the guys to,
Yeah,
not literally bare their chest, but,
yeah.
posture's much better. And because I say, look, with your business, if you want anything doing, give it to a guy. And the guys are there, well, that sort of thing. And I said, because guys are results driven, and what they'll do, they'll go from here and they'll get to there. Fantastic.
Hmm.
And the guys, and you could imagine them getting the
Sure.
mirrors out, couldn't you, and doing
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that,
yeah,
aren't we
yeah,
good and all of
yeah.
that. And then turn around and say, if you want anything doing properly, give it to a lady. And you see the guys go, and the ladies go, yeah. And I said, the simple reason,
Right,
obviously, why we are built different and our minds work slightly differently as well.
right.
Because ladies will get from A to B, fantastic.
Yeah,
It may well take a bit longer. Bear with me.
yeah,
Because quite often, instead of doing the straight line, they will go up and
yeah.
say, right, what if this happens? They'll
Right.
get it resolved. And then they'll go a bit more. What if this happens? They'll get it resolved. And this is why I say it'll sometimes take a bit longer
Mm-hmm.
because they'll still get to the end game.
Right,
But what they've done is that they've resolved all the challenges that guys don't often think about.
right, right.
Guys are all about speed and, I'm generalizing here massively,
Of
as it were.
course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All about results. Let's get there as quickly as we
yeah,
can do. Yeah.
yeah.
Ladies are an awful lot more measured
Mm-hmm.
because they have to think, if we go back to Neanderthal times, the traditional role of a lady was to look after the house and the
Right,
children and everything.
right.
So they're always thinking, is that going to be safe? Is that going to
Yeah.
be, is that, and our minds are still very much like that now. So,
Of course.
yeah, as far as ladies are concerned, absolutely. But one thing I will say is, ladies, please just don't overthink things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The situation is as is.
Mm-hmm.
Then what do you want to happen? Focus on the
Right,
solution.
right. Yeah, love that.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
staying here is not going to help. Creating
right.
more stories is not going to help. So
Yeah,
focus on the solution. Then, as we spoke about a bit earlier on, make the decision what needs to happen to help you get there.
yep, yep.
And it
I
may
love
well
that.
take you a little bit longer. It doesn't matter. There's no time slot on the vast majority of things unless you need to
Right.
get your tax return in
Of
by a certain date.
course. Of course.
Um,
And
but
deadlines are there for a reason, and that's another
absolutely.
story, right? But that ties back into what you were talking about earlier about decisions.
Yeah,
Make the decision, what is it your end point? and don't get caught up in, which I'm working on. There are some things that are big that get caught up in what if, what if,
Yeah,
what if, like you suggested. But when we stick in the what if and don't move the needle and don't make the action, and then we've done a disservice not only to ourselves, but to the larger community, whatever that is and what
absolutely.
you're working on. Wonderful. Dave, thank you so much for this conversation.
You're very welcome. It's been my absolute pleasure. And I know
Thanks.
we rejigged a couple of things, but I can't um, share my gratitude to yourself. The fact that we've managed to, even with the other things that we've both got going on, that we've
Yeah.
managed to get this time together and have this
Yeah.
wonderful conversation. And I just hope, as far as your audience is concerned, that someone just gets one little nugget from that. Hopefully loads. Hopefully you're going to be like a squirrel and get all these different nuggets and bury them for when you need them. But I hope that is the case. But like I say, it's been my absolute pleasure, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, and I know that I've learned through the conversation myself, and it is always astounding to me to hear from the audience things that I didn't even catch or didn't resonate for me, but resonated for them. So I know there are so many nuggets. And the beautiful thing is people get to decide what's best for them in their moment in time, like you say. And like I shared with you at the beginning, before we started recording, these will stay in the internet sphere forever. They're not going away until all of YouTube blows up or podcasts are gone or whatever. So the reality is people could see this that we're recording this in 2026. Somebody could see it in 2030 and go, "Ah, I need to find Dave." So in the show notes, we will have all the ways that you can find Dave as of this recording. And my other thing is, I will try if people, all my guests give me updated information as it becomes available. Beautiful thing. I can go into the show notes and add anything, remove anything. If a website changes, just give me the new one. So it's all, we try to keep ourselves current, even though the conversation was a while ago. So, Dave, thank you for being here. So appreciate you, your energy, your wealth, your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge, and everything that you bring into this world. We are a better universe because of your gifts and talents that you share every day. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being an observer. Thank you for showing the importance of tuning into and settling into and being aware of your values as a person. And when you come from the deep foundation of your value system, you will be fully aligned in no matter what hat you are wearing throughout the day. Before we close, I do want to share something gently and clearly. This November, I am hosting a live in person experience called Ignite the Inner Uprising. It will be a 2-day immersive gathering for women in midlife years who are feeling this quiet pull towards something more truthful, more embodied, more fully themselves. It's an extension of our conversations here. It's where reflection becomes embodiment and insight becomes integrated. And women who have held so much for others for so long get to gather and stand fully in their own sovereignty. So if something in this conversation stirred in you today, if your body started leaning in, that is not accidental. The wait list is now open. If Ignite feels like something your future self would thank you for, I invite you to add your name to the wait list, and the link will be in the show notes. As always, follow, share, like, leave a review so more women can find these incredible conversations and do something for you, by you, because of you today so that you can thrive after 45.